rainy spring day. And what I want to talk about today is God, goals, and gratitude. In no particular order. And first I want to talk about the Psalms and the story of David. Because truthfully, I've never actually, at least not thoroughly, read the Psalms. I've not thoroughly read the story of David. It's one of those stories in the Bible that when I read it, I more so just skimmed through it. But the other day, I went back and I opened my Bible, and I just so happened to open it up into the Psalms, and there was a word that stuck out to me, and the word was vindicate. And it's strange because that word has been rustling around in my mind for quite a while, but in a different context than what David is using it when he's writing these Psalms. The way that I've been thinking of the word vindicate is in a negative context. I've been thinking of vindication as a negative thing. So it was kind of crazy that I opened up my Bible, and the very first page that I opened it up to had the word that has been like the focal point in my life recently. And it was like the first word that I saw as well. So I started reading the whole page. And this is the context of the word. So it's Psalm 26, plea for justice and declaration of righteousness of David. And he says, "Vindicate me, O Lord, for I have walked in my integrity, and I have trusted in the Lord without wavering. Prove me, O Lord, and try me. Test my heart and mind, for your steadfast love is before my eyes, and I walk in faithfulness to you. I do not sit with the worthless, nor do I consort with the hypocrites. I hate the company of evildoers and will not sit with the wicked. I wash my hands in innocence and go around your altar, O Lord, singing aloud a song of thanksgiving and telling all your wondrous deeds. O Lord, I love the house which you dwell, in the place where your glory abides. Do not sweep me away with the sinners, nor my life with the bloodthirsty, those in whose hands are evil devices, and whose right hands are full of bribes. But as for me, I walk in my integrity. Redeem me and be gracious to me. My foot stands on level ground in the congregation. In the great congregation, I will bless the Lord." Welcome to everybody who's just joining in. For context, what I'm reading here is Psalm 26. And the reason why I read that is because there's a word, the very first word of that psalm, vindicate. That word has been rustling around in my mind for the past week and a half, past 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. And 2 days ago, I opened up my Bible, this Bible, and the very first page that I opened it up to, it had the word vindicate. And again, that's been like the main word in my life for the past 2 to 3 weeks. So when I read that, I read the whole context, which is what I just read right there. And the thing that I've learned from reading that psalm and the fact that this word has been knocking around in my brain for a little while is how different I've been perceiving that word compared to how different David is using that word in the Psalms. And one of the great things about the Bible is The same feeling that this psalm and all of the psalms really gave me when I read it 2 days ago is the same feeling that I got when I read the book of Ecclesiastes. Because I read the book of Ecclesiastes when it was another strange situation where I had no prior context. I didn't know what the book of Ecclesiastes was about. I just had a Bible, and I just so happened to open my Bible to Ecclesiastes. And I started reading it, and when I read it, I was like, how is this even in the Bible? How did this make it into the Bible? Because it's just a guy talking nihilistically about how everything is meaningless and how there's nothing new under the sun and how essentially how depressed he is. And when I read that one, I was in a nihilistic state in my life at that time as well. So I read it and I was like, how is this even in? It made me feel less insane, but I was like, my perception of the Bible up to that point was that it was stories of righteous men who had a good relationship with God, and you were to look towards these righteous men to figure out how you yourself should live. But then I read Ecclesiastes and I was like, oh, this isn't that at all. This is a guy whose spirit is in really bad shape. And then the other day I was in a similar spot where I just so happened to open my Bible to Psalm 26, this page from this verse that I just read. And the thing that I've been, truthfully, the thing that I've been dealing with, not so much the past few days, maybe even the past week, but over the past month, I have anger that keeps popping up in me. There's a certain type of anger that keeps popping up within me, but I actually haven't handled it in the right way. Because sometimes you get angry and you have emotions that you don't want to feel, and especially with an emotion like anger, you. One second. No, Nilani just added you as moderator. If you if you stick around for a little while, please don't kick anybody out that's not saying. Even if they're saying argumentative things, don't kick them out. But only kick them out if it's something that would get the channel in trouble. If it's like an actual bad thing. Pureblood might reach moderator status as well if you'd like. Anyway, I had I had an angry emotion inside of me, and the way that I was handling it was it doesn't feel good to be angry. It feels really bad to be angry actually. It feels like it's the poison in your heart. And so when you feel that way, you kind of just want to escape it. Especially an emotion like anger, because if it's something like sadness, you can allow yourself to feel the sadness and cry. And it's all good because there's a certain redemptive feeling in sadness. AJ said live is lagging. Is it still lagging for people? Is the live lagging? Let me know. All right. I don't know why it's lagging. Uh, Also, with the situation with the lagging, one thing I'm about to do is I appreciate everybody who sent funds when we do these lives, sometimes people do super chats and do super chats in my videos and add funds to the GoFundMe. I'm taking the money that was donated, the money, all of the money earned from YouTube. It's maybe it's not the smartest decision, but I think it's a smart decision. I'm taking that money and I'm reinvesting it back into YouTube. I am I'm just doubling down. I'm going all in once more. So I'm going to take almost all of that money and I'm going to buy a laptop because my laptop fried. And if you look back at my channel, the main thing that I've done is record solo podcasts with an actual good microphone. And so I still have four really, really good microphones with boom arms and everything. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a laptop. That way I can up these live streams like crazy because then I'll have good audio. I won't have to do the vertical thing. We can do landscape. Um, so whenever I can get to, hopefully maybe today, over the next few days, I'm going to spend the money that I got from YouTube on a laptop, and I'm just going to keep going all in. Just keep investing in it. So I appreciate all of you guys. Let it be known that money goes to good use, and the money in the GoFundMe is going towards writing the book, and the book has once again begun. Yeah, happy birthday, Emilia Rojas. Anyway, back to the plot. The way that I was escaping, I didn't really know why I was so angry, and I felt like there was something wrong with me as to why I've been feeling angry lately. Because I've talked about it on here, but the reason why I was angry was because of my enemies and my foes. And the reason why that's funny is because I started reading Psalms, and once I read that page that I just read a moment ago, I went back to the beginning and read them from the beginning. And it becomes clear right away that the Psalms are, especially the beginning, David is lamenting his enemies. David is David is grieving the mere existence of his enemies. He's so fed up with the fact that he has enemies, and he describes them as tigers that hide and wait for him, and they're constantly chasing him, and they're constantly coming after him. And they laugh at the fact that he describes them as all of their thoughts are, it's like their thoughts on repeat, and the only thought in their mind is that there is no God. And he keeps praising God and putting giving glory to God, and yet his enemies just keep coming after him. And so the Psalms are him talking to God, lamenting his enemies, asking God to essentially destroy his enemies. And so there's two things about that. One, it's good to read if you're in that kind of state of mind, because if you're in an angry state of mind, it's good to read because it makes you feel less alone, feel less crazy. But it's also important to read it with a wise and discerning heart. Because it's not good that David is so preoccupied with his enemies. He's so obsessed with his enemies and his foes. And he describes himself as righteous. And he describes himself to God. He says he doesn't sit with the wicked, he doesn't sit with the sinners. He tells God that he has integrity. And so he's telling God all of these things. And I read that and I'm like, I would never talk to God that way. So I don't actually know what to do with that because it's the Psalms in the Bible, but I myself would never talk to God that way. And you can tell that there's something, I don't know if sinful is the right word, but there's something about David's attitude that just isn't good. It's not the right way to go about it. But there's an arc to the Psalms as well. There's an arc in the Psalms similar to the arc of Job, where David is in this dire spot. David is in a horrible spot mentally and spiritually, and he just keeps losing. His enemies keep attacking him and keep confronting him, and he keeps lamenting them. But but towards the middle of the Psalms, you can see that God starts performing miracles for David. In the same way that God took everything away from Job, and Job remained faithful, and then everything that was taken away from Job was given back to him. That's what happens to David as well. David's in the dark night of the soul. David is in a terrible spot spiritually, but he does, his attention is on his enemies and his foes, but ultimately he is taking all of that to God. He is talking to God about it. And yeah, he might not be saying the right things to God. He's passionate and emotional and angry, but at least he's never ceasing. He's saying all of the wrong things as well. I mean, he's saying things that are essentially lies. He's saying that he is righteous and that he's putting sinners in one camp and putting himself in a different camp, implying that he himself is not a sinner. So he's not saying the right things. He's saying all of the wrong things. But there is something to be said about the person who, no matter what they're dealing with, just keeps going back to God, keeps talking to God about it. Even if you're not saying the right things, you keep talking to God about it. Angelica, welcome. She said, "I love David because God loves him so much." Yeah, I don't really know. Let me know what your guys' opinion is of David, because I've read the Bible, but certain portions of the Bible, I have, when I read it, maybe I didn't understand it fully, so I kind of skimmed through it. And the Psalms and First and Second Samuel, which is the story of David, is a part of the Bible that I've kind of skimmed through. And so I know vaguely the story of David. I know maybe as much about David as what a normal person who doesn't read the Bible much would know. But I don't really know that much about David. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to learn the story of David. We go through different periods of our life. And there's been some portions of my life where I've identified with Job, some parts I've identified with Elijah, some parts I've identified with Solomon. Because of Elijah's desolation, and because of Solomon's nihilism, and because of Job's despair, I've identified with those individuals. But I've never really identified with David until now. I feel like that's kind of the era of my life that I'm in right now. The the fervency of David. I don't know if passion is a good thing inherently, but the passion of David. Vincent said, "Do you think we should be completely open with God even if we have a bad attitude, or we should try to filter ourselves in prayer?" Man, I think that's a great question. Do you think we should be completely open with God even if we have a bad attitude, or should we try to filter ourselves in prayer? What I would say about that is, truthfully, my prayer life lately, my prayers, up until a few days ago, my prayers have kind of been passerby. My prayer, the me bowing on my knee or knees and praying, it's been something that I've been doing, and I've never really ceased doing it, especially over the past 3 years. But I don't really know when it began, but lately I've just been going through the motions of prayer. I've been going through the motions of prayer, and I've been repentant, apologizing to God and asking God for forgiveness. I've been thanking God and expressing gratitude to God. But it's all been going through the motions. It's like I've just been praying because it's something that I do, and I think it's the right thing to do. But when you pray, you're talking to the creator of the universe. You're talking to the omniscient creator of the universe. And I understand that everybody has different levels of faith. Some people's Everybody has different levels of faith, and we have different levels of faith as individuals at different times in our life as well. And sometimes you may even be in a state of wavering faith. And so you may bow down on your knee to pray. And you may just be going through the motions, and maybe there's still a small seed within your heart that believes you're talking to the omniscient creator of the universe. But the voice maybe that is louder than the small seed of faith that is in your heart is loud, mocking voices of doubt, doubting that you are talking to the creator of the universe, doubting that there is a creator of the universe, doubting that anyone is going to hear your prayers. And I think that happens to everybody. Faith, like anything else, has hills and troughs. And so there might be periods of your life where you bow down to pray, and it's really hard to muster up solid faith. And the thing that is louder than the faith is the doubt. But you keep doing it anyway. But I think it's not every prayer that you pray is going to be perfect. But I do think when you reach that point, if you reach that point, I assume most, if everybody reaches that point of doubt and faith, and maybe even to say doubt isn't the right word, but just a wavering faith. If you reach that point, it's important to reset and remember or acknowledge or even strive to believe that you are talking to the omniscient creator of the universe. And then if you just reset for a moment and get rid of all of your preconceived notions, your prior conceptions, and just open your heart to the possibility that you are talking to the omniscient creator of the universe, what would you say? And for me, what I realized recently is that I would ask for forgiveness, and I would apologize, and I would thank God, and I would acknowledge all of the reasons that I'm grateful, but I would also ask questions. The most important thing that I would do is ask questions. And there are questions that I really want to know the answer to. And knowing the answer to them could nourish my soul. As in forgetting everything that you thought you believed about your life, but just resetting and saying, God, what do you want for me? God, what is your purpose for my life? God, how can I align my will with yours? And so I say that because Vincent's question was, do you think we should be completely open with God even if we have a bad attitude, or should we try to filter ourselves in prayer? I think you have to be completely open with God. I think you have to be, because God is omniscient. God knows your heart. And so even if you don't speak openly, and if you're not completely transparent and honest with God, God knows the truth about you and the truth about your heart. And even worse than that, if you're not truthful, if you're not open and transparent, you're going to start to hide. And that's what I've been doing lately. I've been hiding. I've had these negative emotions within me, anger, and I kind of felt guilty for the anger that I felt for various reasons. And then I try to hide, and I mean that in a literal, tangible way. I've been scrolling on social media too much. And it's so easy to justify scrolling on social media when you feel that way, because it's like, well, I'm so angry. Let me just cathartically open up Twitter and see what kind of doom is happening in the world. That way, I can get catharsis, escape from my life, and pay attention to the doom in the world. That way, it can trivialize my problems a little bit, and I can realize that maybe there's no reason for me to be angry. And all of that's not good. That approach isn't good. The escape from the anger isn't good because it just pushes the problems even further. And so that's why it was so profound when I opened up the book of Psalms and I saw the word vindicate and I started to read the Psalms. And Vincent's question here, do you think we should be completely open with God even if we have a bad attitude, or should we try to filter ourselves in prayer? I've I've never seen any type of writing that was more unfiltered, almost to the point of being unhinged, than these Psalms. I mean, David is fed up. David is passionately angry. He can't stop talking about it. He's so mad at his enemies. He's so annoyed with his enemies and vexed and frustrated with his enemies. But he doesn't let that vexation, he doesn't let it fester inside of him. He takes it to God. He takes all of those problems to God. And then God God answers his prayers. God redeems him or saves him from the enemies who have been vexing him. And David is such a flawed person. David might be one of the most flawed people in the Bible, especially one of the most flawed protagonists. But yeah, and Angelica's right. She said God loves him so much. God does love David so much, but it's a love of mercy. God gives so much mercy to David, despite the fact that David I think it's David who prays to God for a wise and discerning heart. And I was talking to one of my friends about this the other day, and he was giving me his perspective on David and David's story. And he brought up something really interesting to me. He was like, yeah, it was Samuel. Samuel was the one who picked David because David was the youngest of all of his brothers, and all of his brothers were older and stronger and more favored. David was the least favored out of all of them. But then Samuel came in and chose David instead of all of David's brothers. He anointed David. But there was a situation that Samuel learned about, which is that David was having relations with a man's wife. David was having relations with a man's wife, and it was a man who was in his own military. And so while this man who was in David's military was fighting these armies of which David is lamenting, David has relations with that man's wife and then wants to end that man's life. So he wants to take his wife and then end his life. So that's David. But the way that Samuel, this is what my friend was telling me about. I haven't read this part yet. But the way that Samuel held up a mirror to him is Samuel was like, David, if there were, imagine you have 100 sheep, David. You've got 100 sheep, David. And, or there's a rich man, rather. David, imagine there's a rich man and he's got 100 sheep. But instead of being grateful for the 100 sheep that he has, this rich man who has 100 sheep goes off and steals the one sheep that this poor man has. So there's a rich man with 100 sheep, poor man with one sheep. And Samuel's like, imagine that rich man who has all of the sheep went and stole the only thing that that poor man had, the one sheep. So that's something that happened recently. What should we do with that rich man who stole everything that the poor man had? And David's like, where is that man at? We've got to go. We have to go. We have to go end him. We have to go capture him and we have to end him because that can't happen. And then Samuel's like, you are the rich man with the 100 sheep. You have everything. You have 100 sheep. This one man who is a soldier in your military has his wife. And you who have everything went and took the only thing that this other man has. You took his wife. You are the rich man who stole the one sheep from the guy who only had one sheep, despite the fact that you have 100. So that's David. So David is a flawed individual. Pure blood. I don't think it's possible to pray too much. I'm going to outpray all you guys today. Our Father, Lord in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Hallelujah. That's good. I like that. Job was unhinged, but God said he never sinned because he never cursed God. Yeah, that is a contradiction. Sarah said God is flawed too. God is perfect. Pureblood said, we receive more mercy than we deserve, living in this temporary home. One thing that's echoed throughout the Psalms that I'm sure all of you guys have heard of is, I might be able to find it right here actually. Oh, it is. I'm literally on that same page. I'll read this really quick because this is beautiful as well. This is water. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is my stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When evildoers assail me to devour my flesh, my adversaries and foes, they shall stumble and fall. Though an army encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war rise up against me, yet I will be confident. One thing I asked of the Lord, that will I seek after, to live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple. For he will hide me in his shelter in the day of trouble. He will conceal me under the cover of his tent. He will set me high on a rock. Now my head is lifted up above my enemies all around me, and I will offer in his tent sacrifices with shouts of joy. I will sing and make melody to the Lord. Hear, O Lord, when I cry aloud, be gracious to me and answer me. Come, my heart says, seek his face. Your face, Lord, do I seek. Do not hide your face from me. So the reason why I read that is because of the part that says, one thing I asked a Lord that I will seek after, to live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. So Pureblood said, we receive more mercy than we deserve living in this temporary home. And that's something that's echoed in the Psalms. Because David is saying, I want to live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. And I think in a way we kind of can do that in this temporary world. We can live in this world is deceptive, this world is corrupt, this world has snakes and adversaries, and they are trying to overcome the wall all of the time. But God has given us a walled garden. And yeah, in his mercy we can dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of our life. But it's interesting also, we read deeper and that David would talk to God like that. He says, be gracious to me and answer me. Come, my heart says, seek his face. Your face, Lord, do I seek. Do not hide your face from me. So he's being very demanding. Is the microphone still messed up? Let me know if it's messed up right now. Let me know. All right, cool, thanks. Hopefully tomorrow I'll have dramatically upgraded technology, because I have really good microphones, and I have a DSLR camera that I used to use to record all of my podcasts. But now but now my computer fried because of a power surge. Yeah, I don't even want to. One thing I realized recently as well is I think this me saying this will be encouraging to a lot of people that in here, which is that Sarah just said I'm a confused person. Well, let me backtrack real quick then, Sarah. I'll read your question aloud and let's think about this for a second. Can you explain why God's thought that was okay to beat slaves for no reason and not be punished for it? If you ask a question in that way, it doesn't seem like you're seeking to understand. It's seeking like you already have the answer in your heart, and you're using the question as like a bludgeon to. You don't really want to know the answer. It's just like there's a problem in modernity right now. I will say this is it's a perfect example. Jordan Peterson went on a show, YouTube show, and he was debating a bunch of atheists, young people who consider themselves atheists, and it was so annoying. I'll just say that it was so annoying to listen to because I'm not I'm not a huge. I used to really love Jordan Peterson's lectures, Bible lectures over Genesis, but I don't really follow him much anymore because he's kind of changed, in my opinion. But despite me saying all of that, I would not want to do to anybody what they were doing to him, which is that all of these people who consider themselves atheists were. Nobody went into the conversation trying to understand. Nobody was seeking to truly understand and reach understanding or agreement. All of these atheists were just using their questions as weapons, trying to get over on him. And it's like, dude, regardless of what I think the direction that Jordan Peterson has went, never do that to somebody. It's just out of it's like the problem with the world. It's just out of bad faith. It's language is so powerful, and language could be used to better understand each other and work together and heal divides and create love, but or find love rather. But language could also be used to attack each other. It's like when Jesus says, what you put into your mouth isn't what will defile you, it's what comes out of your mouth that will defile you. You're worried about your nutrition and the things that you eat. Don't even worry about that. Worry about the things that you say, because the things that you say are mean. And I'm not saying that about anybody within this chat. I'm saying that is the problem with modernity. That many people unfortunately go to a place where they're really not trying to speak in a redemptive way, speak in a way that aims to make things better rather than worse. They're speaking in a way that they want to be right. And it's not only that I'm over it, I think we're all over it. I'm kind of going on tangents now, but one thing I've been thinking about lately is cultural fatigue. I think so many people, we're like past fatigued with our culture. American culture has been so redundant for the past 30 years. It seems like I'm 29. And for the entirety of my life, I just feel like we're going around in a circle. And I remember you'd be at the grocery store and you'd be waiting in line and you'd see People magazine doing gossip about celebrities, and that seemed like something contemporary, something that was going to go away eventually, but that has not gone away. Social media has made that worse. Gossip about celebrities, attacking each other constantly. There's so much negativity, and it's it's that, and it's also gossip about political figures and gossip about conspiracies and so many deceptions, and it creates a cognitive dissonance. And for me, I'm at the point right now where I'm over it. I'm over the arguing, I'm over the bickering, I'm over the gossip. And it's within my nature. All of that is within everybody's nature. We have a proclivity to gossip, and we have a proclivity to do the wrong things. But it's been so omnipresent in our culture for so long that we can be free of it, if only because we're so tired of it. It's become so redundant and played out. And I guess so I say all of that because one thing that I want to do is I think I've been trying to convince people of things. I think subconsciously, I believe atheism to be vehemently wrong, clearly wrong. And so I try to bridge that gap between Christianity and atheism, i.e., I try to convince people who are atheistic or nihilistic of the to go to Christ. But in a way, I'm kind of over that as well. Not kind of, I'm over that as well. It would be better to nourish the faithful. Nourish, I need to nourish my own faith rather than constantly put myself in a position to, why am I trying to convince people of things they don't want to be convinced of, only for them to circle? It puts me into the spiral of arguments and debate. It would be better to speak about things that nourish the faith of the faithful. And I am one of the faithful. I just want to nourish my own faith. So I am done with I'm done with convincing. I'm done with persuasion. Sarah, I do believe you want to understand as well. I'm not saying that about you. I'm just saying the the vernacular that you're using. It could be less aggressive. So see, now I gotta remove you from the channel because um, like you're saying things that aren't even allowed on the website, and it's like, what's the point? Her questions are pretty fair, but it's the framing of the questions. It's like, do you actually want to understand, or do you want to create debate? Because I just don't want to debate anymore. I'm over debate. TJ Yao, welcome. Good to see you. Everyone, please pray for me. I was sent a letter stating my benefits would be cut off, income, health insurance. I'm going to the office this morning to sort it out. Please pray for me. I will pray for you, TJ. What country are you in, TJ? Vincent said, I've been sitting under trees lately trying to cultivate the light within me. Yeah, sometimes the most important thing that you could do in a day is just sit under a tree, just be in nature. TJ elaborated. He said, I was in multiple car accidents and disabled. I'm unable to work and physically provide for myself. Love you all. God bless you. Yeah, God bless you as well, TJ. All love to you. Vincent said, James, I love the way you talk about the problems of the world with grace. I think I just recognize that I don't mean this in an egotistical way or to. Um, Sometimes humility itself can jump over the line and humility can become prideful. And so I don't say this in a overtly humble way or excessively humble way that is actually prideful. But truly, I am one of the problems with the world. Like any problem that I talk about, I've either participated in all of these problems of the world, or if not, I could see how, if my life would have been different, if I would have been born to different parents, if I would have been raised in a different town, if I were in the shoes of these people who are so hurt that they hurt other people, I might be exactly like them. I might do the exact same thing, hurt people the same way that they hurt people. So when you recognize that, you can have empathy. It was uh, it was G.K. Chesterton. G.K. Chesterton got a letter from a journalist, and the letter said, "G.K. G.K. You're a very wise man. If you had to, in one sentence, what is the biggest problem facing the world? What would your answer be? What is the biggest problem facing the world?" And this journalist apparently sent it to a bunch of popular writers at the time, and very few, maybe none, responded. But G.K. Chesterton did respond, and he just sent back one sentence, and he said, "Dear sirs, I am what's wrong with the world right now." And that's funny, but it's also true. It's funny, but it's true. He literally was wrong with the world, and I literally am what's wrong with the world. Hey, B, good to see you here. Good to see you. He said, "Today was a slow, good day today. Nice to end it by popping in the stream for a while. I actually checked the channel out just a few minutes ago." Deborah Editor said, "Subscribe to him." Yes, thanks, Deborah Editor. Please subscribe. We're growing. This is going to be a summer of what would you say? Summer of growth, summer of cultivating the tree, summer of living slow, summer of baby steps, summer of gratitude, summer of redemption, summer of meaning, summer of fulfillment, summer of faith, summer of good things. Sakura said, "Hello, James. Back to watching your stream. Been a while. Good to have you here. I'm curious about your favorite Bible verse and chapter. Mine is John 1 1. Find that." Okay, I will find that. "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." Yeah, I love that verse as well. And one of the reasons why I love that verse so much is because among an abundance of other reasons, it's such great writing. That verse is such great writing. To start off a book, because that's a book. It's the book of John, the Gospel of John, and the whole Bible is it's not one book. It's a library of books. And so John started off his book by saying, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." He was in the beginning with God. That's such a powerful and ambiguous way to start off a book, because it's a hook. It's very gripping. It makes you want to read more. Summer of George. What does that mean? Summer of harvest. Maybe. Angelica said, "Summer of harvest, maybe." And maybe for you, maybe for me, it's the summer of cultivation. But maybe it is the summer of harvest. A Divine just brought up a good point. That's something I want to talk about. Because A Divine said the worst thing, the distance of the people from God. One other thing that I've been struggling with lately is goals and desires and aims and aspirations. Because I do think it's good to have an aspiration, it's good to have an aim. And if you don't have an aim, that's fine. If you don't have an aspiration, that's fine. But what ends up happening in your life, your day-to-day life, is that you literally become dopamine deficient because your brain cultivates dopamine not by achieving things but by moving towards things. And if you don't have anything tangible that you're moving towards, then you it can throw you into a little bit of a state of emptiness and despair. And I do struggle to know exactly what it is that I want. I'm good at setting and achieving goals, but I have a really hard time. Well, actually, I'll say I have a hard time setting goals because worldly things seem to be inherently like bad goals to me. So if my goal has anything to do with money, I'm in a state right now where I need to rise out of this financial cataclysm that I've found myself in. And so to do that, money would be a part of the equation. But I don't want to ever aim for money because it seems self-evident that it's a corrupt aim, but it also depletes me when my goals have to do with money. And so kind of a trick that I found the other day, something that I was doing the other day that was helpful to figure out what it is that I want, is I went through and I wrote all of the things that I don't want. I said, well, let me start here. Let me start with the inverse. What do I not want? And I bring it up with what A Divine just said because they said the worst thing, the distance of the people from God. One of the first things that I wrote down, if not the first thing, is that I don't want to be distanced from God. So I just started writing down a bunch of things that I do want and things that I don't want. And then it was actually really easy to figure out what I do want because I could literally just write down the opposite of the things that I don't want. So for example, I said I don't want to be distanced from God. And so then in the column where I was writing down what I do want, well, it's obvious what I do want, then I want to be close to God. So that's a trick that I found lately, or recently rather, to set good goals, to figure out what you want. First, figure out what you don't want. 3 months sober yesterday and off nicotine by the grace of God. Do not serve mammon, riches and gains. It's amazing, Michael. Michael Brici. Is that an Italian name? But great news. Good on you. 3 months sober. That's great. What was your vice? Is it alcohol? What was your vice? Praying for anyone and everyone in this live that have any residential anger, hurt, unforgiveness, and spirits of meanness. Wishing you all health, wealth, and prosperity. God bless each of us. Thank you, Nonilani. God bless you as well. Great message. It's a blessing to just listen to you speak and share your journey walk with Christ. I pray God opens a door and provides provision for you, my brother in Christ. I pray that for you as well, TJ. Yeah, thank you. Romanian, gotcha. Luke Sawyer said, "What's this stream about?" Colton Riley said, "Hi, just subscribed. Good to have you here, Colton Riley." Luke, this stream's about God, goals, and gratitude. No, honestly, what this stream is about is I, I've thought about this as well because the main thing that I've been working towards in the past week is just bringing a greater order to my life. And so one of the questions that I had is like, well, sometimes I go on and I do a live stream. What is that? What am I doing? What am I trying to do when I live stream? And that's when I said, I, I was writing down what do I love about live streaming? What do I not love? What do I love about writing? What do I not love? What do I love about creating videos? What do I not love? And all of the things that I create, what do I love about it? And what do I not love about it? Because if you're doing things with disdain or disgust or resentment in your heart, what's the point in even doing it? But if you're doing things with love in your heart and you love the things that you're doing, then that is everything. There's nothing more fulfilling than that. And so I bring that up because he said, "What is the stream about?" And I've been trying to bring greater order to my day. And the thing that I love is nourishing the faith of the faithful. Nourishing the faithful. And what I love is what this whole channel is about is I don't have answers. A lot of people go on YouTube and they try to teach and they try to preach and they try to paint themselves as having all of the answers, but I don't have the answers. I'm a man learning to live well. And there are fruits though from my creation. You can get value from the things that I talk about. And it's all authentic because it's not me telling you things or being authoritative about what you should do or trying to teach or preach. It's just here's what I struggle with right now. Here's what I've struggled with in the past. Here's what I'm learning. And wouldn't it be so beautiful to live well? Wouldn't it be so fulfilling? Even if you don't live perfect, to live better today than you did yesterday. To be to become to to be the person who you're meant to be and to become the person to be on the right trajectory, the trajectory being way more important than the speed. Wouldn't it be good to be on the right path? So that's what this stream is about. This stream is a man learning to live well, but not only is it a man learning to live well, it is a bunch of people learning to live well. Right. And that's what this stream is about. Nourishing the faith of the faithful. Sakura said, "James, bit interesting question to you. Don't look at it as weird. Have you experienced some smells, nostalgia, like a perfume randomly from somewhere or places, nature, and it brings thoughts?" Yeah, that happens to me all of the time. All of the time. It often happens as well with for those who don't know, I was on a journey that I just transitioned out of that specific journey, but I was living out of a van for a year and a half down in Florida. And man, it was so lonely isn't the right word. Like there's a certain type of blessing, there's a certain type of joy in solitude and isolation until it goes too far. And I don't think it ever went too far for me. And there were times that I would just be traveling city to city, working my way down south, and I would find myself. The sun had gone down. It was 7 p.m. in a random YMCA in Athens, Georgia, and sometimes, and I'd be in that YMCA, and it's like I could it's like I was experiencing all of the life, the resonance, the other experiences. They were such old buildings at times that it's like I could feel the things that had happened, all of the life that had been lived there. And now that I'm completely done with that journey, I'll be in a shower, or I'll smell something, or somebody's voice will sound a certain way. And like in a moment, I'll be transported back to a random gym in Athens, or a random shower in a Planet Fitness down in Florida. And and I'll while I was there, while I was in these random showers, alone, isolated, yearning and striving and growing closer to God. At the time, there were times where I thought my life was so hard and the journey was so arduous. But now that I'm completely out of it, it's kind of a cliche to say, but it's so true. The hardest times of your life, when you're in them, sometimes seem so bad, and you just want them to be over. But then once you're out of them, it's like, oh, that was one of the best times of my life. That was amazing. So yeah, I feel that way all of the time. Diego Rios said, maybe your goal is to make others happy. It's that simple. That is certainly. I think there's a lot of redemption that comes in thinking less of yourself and more of others. And I forget where I heard this, but I heard somebody word it the other day that, I mean, I might have been reading the Bible, but something like, um, the purpose of life is to sacrifice the things that you want, to sacrifice the things you want in your own life for the good of others. And it wasn't in the Bible, that now that I said it out loud, but it's obviously um, that's obviously to do with the story of Jesus and the message of Jesus. Deny yourself and carry your cross. Give up the life that you want. Sacrifice the things that you want for the good of other people. And it's so hard to do, but once you do it, and once you're in the flow of doing it, you forget all of the things that pain you internally, and you find yourself fully immersed in the present moment when you're living not for yourself but for other people. And it's kind of like a hypnotization. Like you get hypnotized in the art of doing that and the goodness of living for other people rather than yourself. But maybe you catch yourself having done it and it snaps you out of that flow state. And then our nature pulls us back into our own desires and living for ourselves. But the more time that you put to cultivating thoughts and speech and actions that are oriented towards making the lives of others better rather than your own life better, it's a paradox because it's literally the meaning of when Jesus says, if you save your life, you're going to lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake, you'll gain it. And by actually doing that, there's the promise of eternal life. You will find yourself, you believe in Jesus, and Jesus will give you entrance to the kingdom of God, yes. But you can also find yourself in the house of the Lord on this earth. You can find yourself in the walled garden of God on this earth. Yeah, so good point, Diego Rios. Brother, I really wonder, how do you do to be so courageous to speak and somehow show yourself unto the world? I'm disabled, called by God to talk and TikTok, and I really struggle showing myself. Why do you struggle showing yourself? What are you worried about? I become angry, sadly, with God and struggle a lot because I want to do His will. It's a good confession, a divine. Remember that you're angry at God. God is not angry with you. TJ Yao said, I hope you are doing well, Angelica. Good to see you here. Yeah, it is good to see both of you. Appreciate the positivity. Sometimes I get a feeling that James will speak in front of millions one day. Oh, that's another thing I was talking to my friend about. If just to be completely transparent, in theory, if I need to rise myself out of my financial cataclysm, and in theory, if something like that happened, that would almost certainly reciprocate value to me and rise me out of this financial cataclysm. But I was talking to one of my friends about that the other day, and he made a good point. He's like, man, if your channel started to rise exponentially and took off like crazy, that might be a blessing, but that might not be a blessing. That might be a bad thing. Because it might also basically, I can't remember the exact terminology he used, but basically uh, trolls. He was like that might invite a lot of trolls into the the walled garden. So yeah, that would be a good thing, and I have a worldly desire within me to rise out of this financial cataclysm, but thy will be done. Let God's will be done because I don't even know what's good, and if I were to achieve the things that I've sought, the things that I seek, yeah, I might get them, but it might not be good. When I made a video 3 months ago that got like 100,000 views, and people were out of this world. I mean, people on YouTube go online. I know it's ridiculous. You can see there's people who I watch as well. I watch people who create similar content as myself, who literally are just real human beings talking in a real way. But sometimes you'll see these individuals make videos responding to negative comments. And I'm like, dude, don't do that. It's so ridiculous. Do not give them the attention that they literally just want attention from you. They don't even mean the things that they say. They're just saying the meanest things possible in order to get your energy. They're trying to steal your energy. But also, when I made a video that got almost 100,000 views, there were so many people saying the most, and it was hard because I learned from. I don't care who can give me wisdom. Anybody that gives me wisdom, it could be a baby who's a year old that just learned how to speak. If they say something true to me, I'll take truth wherever I can find it. So I try to not have an ego about that. Wherever I can learn, wherever I can gain more wisdom, I will take it. So you get all of these people giving you negative comments and saying negative things to you, and you try to sift through them. You're like, oh, is this true? Is this right? Is this right? And I remember there was one negative comment that I called my brother and I was talking to him about because it kind of fried my brain, the hypocrisy of it, the ridiculousness of it, the absurdity of it. This woman commented on that video and she's like, you've got so much time to get online and make these videos. Why don't you actually do something productive with your life and go to a dog shelter and start walking dogs? Yeah, and you gotta think about what's happening there. She's somebody. I'm a person who is online creating videos, and I want to do it, and I love to do it, and I feel compelled to do it. And so, regardless of what you think is work, like it is a sacrifice. I put time and energy and effort into it. And so you've got this person who's just a commentator getting on a video of something that someone else made, and she's like, "Why are you wasting time doing this?" And it's so funny to say for the solution to instead of making YouTube videos, go out and walk dogs. I was like, why don't you stop commenting on videos and you go walk dogs? Why do you want me to walk dogs? You go walk dogs. So yeah, if you grow like crazy, if you grow too much too quick, you fly too close to the sun, and you get people commenting, telling you things like "go walk dogs." But sometimes, brother, the Lord would want some of His children to be known more and more. That may be your situation too. Maybe only God knows. That is true. Yeah, that's the reality. Only God knows. Vincent said, I was a few months away from getting my commercial pilot license and gave it up because I felt empty. I want to know more about that, Vincent, and also from the folks who are in here. What what kind of topics could we talk about in these live streams, like future live streams? That think about it in that frame of nourishing the faith, because I just want to get there's so much noise and negativity in this world. I want to get away, right away from the noise and negativity. I truly just want this to be a walled garden, nourish the faith of the faithful. We will have conversations that teeter on the edge of debate, but I don't want all of this to always be a debate. I'd rather it be the a nourishing the faith of the faithful. And so if you guys were to reflect about topics that, like, questions, and I say questions, but just uh, good things in your life that could be made better, that would nourish your faith, or bad things that could be removed that would nourish your faith, or questions within your heart that you don't know the answer to, that maybe if it were unraveled a little bit more, that would nourish your faith. What kinds of topics do you guys have in that frame? Nourishing the faithful, nourishing the faith. A Divine said, that's why I struggle. Let's say in my situation, I've experienced some trolls too, only a few, and I don't know how to handle this struggle. I'm autistic and that does not help. Sorry, Hope. Hope my situation helps as a reference somehow. That's why I struggle. Let's say in my situation, I've experienced some trolls too, only a few, and I don't know how to handle this struggle. Yeah, that's why I like reading the Psalms so much, because again, truly, it's not just trolls online. Sometimes people attack me in IRL, in real life, and it creates a certain anger within me, kind of like a dog backed into a corner. Like you back a dog into a corner, it's going to be angry and it's going to start barking. And that's the anger that it stirs within me sometimes. That's why I love these Psalms, because you're not crazy for feeling that way. David was a flawed man, but David was on a journey towards God. David's journey was very tumultuous, but his trajectory was right. David was very focused on the heart of God and growing closer to God. And he was honest with God about his enemies. He his enemies his enemies made him mad. He couldn't stand his enemies. Here's a psalm about the enemies. Help, O Lord, for there is no longer anyone who is godly. The faithful have disappeared from humankind. They utter lies to each other with flattering lips, and a double heart they speak. May the Lord cut off all the flattering lips, the tongues that make great boasts, those who say, with our tongues we will prevail. Our lips are our own. Who is our master? Because the poor are despoiled, because the needy groan, I will now rise up, says the Lord. I will place them in the safety for which they long. The promises of the Lord are promises that are pure, silver refined in a furnace on the ground, purified 7 times. You, O Lord, will protect us. You will guard us from this generation forever. On every side, the wicked prowl, as vileness is exalted among humankind. So it doesn't really matter if that's actually what's happening in the real world, but that is David's perspective. David is writing that psalm, and he's like, the faithful have disappeared from humankind. They utter lies to each other with flattering lips, and a double heart they speak. So that's his perspective on the world. And that's his perspective on people. That's his perspective on his enemies. People are chasing him. They attack him. They want to end him, and he gets so vexed at the fact of hearing this evil in the world, and it's evil people who are coming after him. And so it doesn't really matter if that's really what's happening or just the way that he feels. There's a certain truth to your feeling as well. And the one thing that you can't do with anger, negative emotions, is push it down and or escape from it or pretend it doesn't exist. It would be better to take those problems to God and to be truthful with God. TJ Yao said, someone telling you to walk dogs is literally throwing stones and judging you. Yeah, that's exactly what she's doing, but I mean, honestly, the crazy thing is I don't think she was trolling. I think she really meant it. I think she thought that's why it's so flabbergasting. I think she thought she was right, and that she sees somebody online making videos, and she just gets so mad. She's like, "You need to be out walking dogs." And it's funny that like she would think that's the highest good. The best thing that you can do with your life is go out and walk dogs. It's like, no, you go walk dogs. Stop telling people to do it. Angelica said the attacks are becoming fewer. Yeah, the attacks are becoming fewer. I think that the Christian side of YouTube focuses on the problems of the world. I think that we should be painting a picture of what life could be when we follow God. Yeah, Vincent, I think that's perfectly said. I think the Christian side of YouTube is so. You just have different denominations of people who are just constantly debating and constantly telling people how right they are, how right they themselves are, and how wrong other people are. It's like, I'm hesitant to say it, but it kind of is this. It's kind of like it's kind of like we're blanketed by the spirit of the Antichrist right now. Like this, I'm not saying all of these people are the Antichrist, but it is all, it is, it's not Christ-like to, for your aim not to be the salvation of souls, not to be the nourishment of souls, but rather just to be theologically correct. I would say that that's certainly not Christ-like. Pete said, "Is God really guiding us, bro? What's the thoughts?" God is guiding me. Is God guiding you, Pete? Was that gossiping about the woman with dogs? It's her universe. Maybe that was me gossiping, but more so is just telling you guys a story of something that um, was kind of fun to me. Vincent, appreciate you answering the question. He said video topic idea, painting a picture of what the world could be if we all followed God. It's interesting. I kind of like that. Marriage, communities, friendships, work, environments, etc. Yeah, I kind of like that, but that's a heavy burden for a person to carry. It's a heavy burden for especially one person to carry, to try to describe what the world would be if everybody was following God. I think the best that I can do and the best that we can do is fo- ourselves focus on God. We as individuals focus on following God, and then let them see our fruits. Let them see our fruits. And then over time, if the world did change, because people saw our fruits and they want what we have in a good way, meaning we have God, they want God as well. And then we all start moving towards God. The world would move towards in that direction, but it wouldn't be me, it wouldn't be you, it wouldn't be any one person or people overall. It would literally be God doing it. So I think that's all that we can do. Edifying the body of Christ and lifting each other up is more important than anything else, yes. Exactly. Some people are just bitter or miserable. They have a restless spirit. Anyone like that does not have the Holy Spirit moving in them. Yeah, TJ, good point. And another thing that happens in the Psalms is David. David is extremely worked up, almost to the point of being. He's fervent. He's frantic. He's passionate. He's angry. Even kind of vengeful. He's very worked up. But those are his emotions almost pouring out of him, exploding out at him. But he still acknowledges that it's not good to fret. We shouldn't fret, and we shouldn't fret over evil people. We shouldn't fret over the wicked. So I think it's important. It's funny that he's saying that in context of him actively fretting over people. But it's one of the reasons why I love the Psalms, is because there's so much wisdom in the Psalms, and it makes you feel less insane because he's actively fretting over the same things that we fret about. So he's like us and we're like him, but he's also got a discerning heart that is wise enough to realize, despite the fact that I'm fretting, it's not good to be fretting. LG Marsoni, has anyone ever told you look like Hugh Jackman? Yeah, every stream. Every stream somebody says that. They say Wolverine or Hugh Jackman. TJ Yao said, Matthew 12:45. Then it goes and brings with it 7 other spirits more evil than itself, and they enter and dwell there. And the last state of that person is worse than the first. So also it will be with this evil generation. That's a good verse. What is the context of that? What makes you bring that up? TJ Yao said, video idea. What does following Jesus actually look like? I really like that one. Thank you. Appreciate that, TJ Yao. Vincent said, that's a good point. I do believe giving others an ideal to strive towards is key. Painting a pictures of what could be. Angelica said, I have to say goodbye. I have to drive 100 kilometers this night. God bless you all. I appreciate you all very much. Also, Noni Lani, God bless you. God bless James and his church here. I'd say we're more of a walled garden than a church, but God bless you as well, Angelica. Always. Thanks for coming. Peter Michael said, is that human? Is what human? Sudden Booch said, me personally, it was the loss of my mom that took about 3 years to heal. is that human? What is that? Are you who are you talking about me as a person? Am I human? Do 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 do. Sudden booch. Me personally, it was the loss of my mom. I took about 3 years to heal. Are you bringing that up, saying it was the loss of your mom that brought you closer to Jesus, or what is the context that you say that? Do you guys think I should get a laptop and upgrade these streams, or hang tight? Regardless of what you say, I'm going to get a laptop and upgrade these streams, but I guess I'm just bringing it up because I'm kind of excited about that. I'm excited to upgrade it. There might be a pathway to even take these longer. It's if you can talk with a microphone and have headphones on, it's easier to stay in the moment. But if I don't have headphones on, it's I don't know, it's harder to I can't hear myself speak. So I'm excited to get a laptop. Yeah, I got to keep investing, Vincent. I got to take the money that I've earned and reinvest it. I just want to make this channel even better. And I went for a run yesterday. One thing I've been doing is slow jogging. My friend that I was with the other day, I was slow jogging with him, and he's the one that planted the seed of slow jogging in my mind. And he made such a good point. He was talking about himself and why he slow jogs rather than run so fast. And he just said, he's like, I realized when I was running and running as fast as I could and exhausting myself and not enjoying it, I was like, what am I trying to prove? And he said that, and I was like, yeah, you're right. What am I trying to prove to? And who am I trying to prove it to? So in everything that I do, I'm trying to take away this. I don't know. Sometimes we have like a vague desire for approval in the back of our mind that dictates our decisions. And then if you ask yourself that question, it's so refreshing because it's like you step back. It's like, wait a second, what am I trying to prove, and to who am I trying to prove it? And so I've just been slow jogging lately, slow jogging and enjoying it. It's been really good for my mind. And yesterday, as I was slow jogging, I was thinking of the journey that I've been on and the potential of getting a laptop to upgrade these streams. And I thought of it in terms, literally at the time that my laptop fried, broke. It was like a few days after I recorded a video about, it was one of the last podcasts that I recorded. And I'm not done with the podcasts. Long term, I will make it back. I'm on like episode 113, and I will get back to the podcasts, but I just haven't had the equipment. And one of the last podcasts, most recent, that I recorded before I lost the equipment, it was about the story of Job and trusting in God when you feel like everything is being taken away from you, and you cry out to God and you only hear silence. So it's apropos that that would have been the last one that I recorded. Because as I was running yesterday, I was like, I'm not exactly where I want to be in my life, but getting a laptop is like a step of God giving me back the things that I lost. Because that was one of the main things that I lost that it was really important to me was my laptop. And it's really beautiful now. Things have come full circle, and I'm slowly getting back the things that I lost. Grateful. Do, do, do. Vincent said, "Are you now in a place you can stay and don't have to worry about leaving?" I'm staying with my family right now, but um, I made a video about this a few weeks ago about still being homeless despite the fact that I'm sleeping inside and I'm with my family. In a way, I kind of have to still perceive myself as homeless because I'm a grown man and I'm staying with my family. I can't really view this as my home because it was once my home, but I left my home when I was 17 years old. So now I'm grateful this is a place where I'm staying. But if I try to get too comfortable and think that everything is peachy, everything is great, it's a balance. I can have peace and I can rebuild and I can live slowly, but I can't get comfortable and think I've made it because I've kind of done the opposite of make it. I haven't made it. And if I convince myself that things are smooth, then I'm at risk of falling. So yeah, I say that because I'm uh, staying with my family and I'm not necessarily worried about leaving, but I do have to make some plays. I've got to rise. And there's not a lot of job opportunities in this town, but um, my aunt printed off a resume. I made a resume, sent it to her. She has a printer. She printed it off. So I'm gonna go get those resumes from her and figure out what's good with jobs around here. Try to get a job. Do you have a Costco membership? Where I'm from, there is no Costco. We don't even have a Walmart. Noni Lonnie said, "Forgot to say your shirt looks nice and cozy. Thank you." I was going to title this stream something about cozy vibes, cozy, cozy spring vibes, talking about God, goals, and gratitude. Because that's what we're going for today, cozy vibes. I moved back in with my parents and it feels the same. I know they won't ever make me leave, but it doesn't feel like I should stay. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Things have to happen. I don't know what it is. Something inside of me, I just know things have to happen. There can't be slowing down. There has to be a speeding up. I do pray that God opens the door. If you seek Him first, He will provide a way. Whether it's someone your family knows or something else, God will open a door for you. Yeah, I will say. Yesterday, I was in the park in nature, and like what we were talking about yesterday. In my prayers, I've been. If you're in this live stream, like this live stream, please like this live stream. We need to. I'm trying to get more likes than my. That's my tangible goal. I'm trying to get more likes than my previous live streams have gotten, and I think my most might be like 56 or 62 or something. So if everybody just starts liking this, and you haven't already, maybe we can rise. So like this if you like it. Anyway, I was in the park yesterday and I've been working on prayers and praying to God in a way that is actually prayer. you're actually talking to the omniscient creator of the universe. It's like, okay, quit going through the motions of prayer and what other people have told you that prayer is or what it's supposed to be. It's just you and the omniscient creator of the universe, the one who knows everything. What are you saying to him? What are you asking him? What are you telling him? And the other day I was telling God about my worries and the things that are affecting me, affecting my psyche. And I asked God for redemption. I asked God for a pathway. I asked God to remove the veil so that I may see the pathway, that I may have confidence in the pathway. Because I'm willing to do whatever, but the issue is that sometimes I set goals and I go into certain directions, but then I don't go all the way through with the direction that I'm going because I don't know whether or not it's right and just. So I'm like, God, please renew my confidence by showing me not only the pathway, but show me that the pathway is good and it is your will. That way I don't just spin my tires. And it was after I'd read the Psalms, after I opened up my Bible and saw this word vindicate, that made me read the Psalms deeper, that I was praying to God in this way. And the thing that just kept reverberating through my mind, the mandate that was like encouragement. It was a mandate, but it was encouraging. I just kept hearing, learn the story of David, learn the story of David, learn the story of David. So, and then it's like I was asking God, like, well, I need you to remove the veil so that I can see where learning the story of David will take me. I need to know that that's going to be a good pathway. I'm afraid. God, please help me. Remove the veil so that I know that path will be right and just. But I just kept hearing, learn the story of David, learn the story of David. And the more that that reverberated throughout my mind, I just kind of went into more of a state of acceptance and realized that before more of the veil would get removed and I could see more of the pathway through the trees, that sunlight would start to go through the trees, I would need to have trust and just learn the story of David. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm learning the story of David. At what age should a man rightfully throw in the towel if he's been rejected and ignored by women his entire life? Um, Maybe the throwing in the towel the right way, if you do that the right way, will actually make you more attractive to women. Do, do, do. All right, I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick. I want to keep this going, so it'll be uh, 2 minutes. If you guys stay here, I'll be back. 2 minutes. Ah, I'm back. I'm back. Noni Lani said a video on celibacy. Yeah, that would be good. Let me ask you guys a question. What do you guys struggle with? What are things that you guys struggle with in your life? If you think about it in terms of you have these things, and yeah, the goal of life is not necessarily to be happy, but happiness isn't bad. Fulfillment is good. Living a meaningful life is good. Living a purposeful life is good. And so there is a way that we could live that would be maybe what you would describe as living well. What are things that you struggle with that stop you from living well? What stops you from living well? What stops you from living well? What do you struggle with? What do you struggle with? What are your struggles? Bring your struggles and we will talk about them and solve them together. Together we will solve them. Sharon Cecil said, "Are you in a green screen?" No. No, it's a poster behind me. Pure Blood said pride. Yeah, but how... grief is a good thing. Or grief is a good one. But Pure Blood, what specifically... What is your struggle with pride? Like, how does that manifest in your life? If you can make the problem more acute, like a doctor trying to diagnose a specific problem, he could point to if the doctor diagnoses the whole problem as pride, that's such a big monster. It's kind of hard to defeat. But what specifically about pride? Vincent said, lots of synchronicity with the story of David lately. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. There's a lot of synchronicity in my life of the story of David. And now I have a mission, which is to learn the story of David. That's a really good one. Daniel said, thinking I'm better than others. Yeah, that's really interesting. Thinking I'm better than others. That's a vicious pendulum that swings both ways, I think. Sometimes I care way too much about what other people think of me, and it makes me downtrodden. It makes me feel less confident, low self-esteem, um, doubtful, self-doubt. But then in order to contend against that, the pendulum swings the other way. And because I feel less than other people, and maybe I feel hurt by other people, I let the pendulum swing the other way. And so to fight against it, then I start to think that I'm better than other people. Both of those things are bad. I think part of the solution is to realize that you're not better than other people or worse than other people. You're kind of the same as other people. Most of us are the same. And if I were born into a different family, different circumstances, if I were born into the exact same circumstances with the exact same life as someone that hurt me, who's to say that I wouldn't be exactly like them? And then you can have empathy for them and turn the other cheek. It's really beautiful to conceptualize the fact that we're really not different. We kind of are all. I don't even really mean this metaphorically. We're not far from being brothers and sisters. We're all kind of like siblings. Vincent said, I struggle with not complaining while in the wilderness. My mind is flooded with, why am I here? How long, Lord? What's the point of all of this? I'm not thankful the day. I just want it to end. Yeah, I remember I made a video a while back. I titled it, I used to spend my days waiting for them to end. It's not a good place to be. Spending your days wanting them to end. And I think a lot of people find themselves in that state. Doom scrolling, escaping through any means necessary, being dissatisfied and ungrateful towards the day that they have, and doing anything that they can to escape it. But it's not always clear exactly how to be a person and live a day that would be continually fulfilling. But in a way, that's what I'm trying to do here, and I think that's what we're trying to do here. We are people in a walled garden, in a very noisy and chaotic world, together trying to learn how to live well. And it's nice sometimes to realize that other people struggle with the same things that you struggle with. Vincent said, God has delivered me from many sins. I see his hand in my life. I believe he is with me, yet I still complain. Yeah, and if you beat yourself up for the fact that you complain, that would keep you deeper in that cycle. That's why the forgiveness of God is so profound and beautiful. Because the only way out of that cycle is by something that is actually out of your control, is for God to forgive you. And God does forgive you. And there's multiple things that you could attribute to being the good news of Jesus Christ. But that is a part of the good news of Jesus Christ, that God has forgiven you. Noni Lani said, isolating myself from most people. Yeah. Sometimes that's like, sometimes I do that as well. In a lot of ways, interacting with people is kind of like church. It's kind of like working out. Before you interact with somebody, if you kind of just want to be alone, you want to be in isolation. Before you go to church, you don't want to be in church. You don't want to, you feel like it might be pointless to go to church. You could just find God where you're at. Before you work out, you can convince yourself that you've worked out enough and today's workout isn't really going to benefit your body. And all of these things are like the same because before you participate in them, it's easy to convince yourself that they're not actually good for you. But when you leave isolation and you start to get into a flow of conversation with somebody and interacting with people, you realize how nourishing it is and how the isolation, although it seemed like it was what you wanted, really what you wanted was togetherness. You wanted connection with other people. Do, do, do. Basically, all the seven deadly sins at different times and places ongoing. I'm a worm, man. Not complaining, though. I struggle every day with the darkness for my crown. I will never relent. Amen. Amen. Yeah, that's what we got to be careful about business. Peely, now I got to get you out of here. I'll just put you in timeout for now. I also struggle with being patient and kind with myself. After breaking multiple bones on my face this month and sustaining a brain injury, I am humbled in new ways. Patience and kindness with self is the key to self love. Yeah, that's why it's good to. It's not good to get sick. Some of the worst days of my life is when I've been incredibly sick. But one of the amazing things about getting sick is it's so true that a healthy man wants 1,000 things, and a sick man only wants one thing, which is to be healthy. And when something bad happens to you, when you find yourself in the chaos of injury, especially brain injury or sickness, you realize all you really want is to be healthy. And so when you start to move back into a state of health, the sickness becomes a blessing because the day becomes sufficient for itself. You don't want anything anymore. The day is sufficient in itself. All right. I'm at 3%, so that's all that I have today. It's a rainy spring day. It's a cozy spring day. I would take it back to the verse from Paul. In everything that you do it with love. That's what I'm going to work on today. Final thoughts. Pure Blood said, just getting a little acknowledgement from you guys is a beautiful thing. I love you all and want to hang out in heaven with you. Yeah, you as well, Pure Blood. Same exact to you. I love your pursuit of Christ and his wisdom. It's a breath of fresh air in a world full of lies, deception, and pride. Yeah, that's what we're trying to create here. And we can create it together. We need to be together. God bless my brother in Christ. We are washed by the blood of Christ. Amen. True. All right. God bless everyone. Have a great day. Live well. And in everything that you do it with love.